8 a.m. on an April day, and these eager young learners are embarking on yet another adventure. The Sioux Falls School District has had kindergarten, and all-day kindergarten, for years, but the curriculum is always in flux. Parents of current kindergartners might remember nap times, play times, and the all-important gym or recess back in their day.
Read a book, once your bag's unloaded. Read a book, when your bag is unloaded. You can read a book when your bag's unloaded, because we love to read.
But for kindergarten students today, everything is centered around learning. Spend a day in the classroom and you'll not only notice a heavy focus on literacy, students reading and writing throughout the day, but that every activity is actually multiple learning experiences at once.
Join? Team America. Team America. We're part of that team. We talked about this morning, we've been talking about plants and the different parts we know. We've talked about the roots and the stems and the leaves, and we've even talked about the flowers. And then, Camden, we started to talk about plants that we could eat and what parts of them we eat. And we talked about leaves. Do you remember what we had? We had 3 kinds of lettuce, and then we had things like cilantro, and someone mentioned basil and other things that you cook with and put.
What's cilantro? What's basil?
We talked about cilantro being in things.
I love cilantro.
Oh, wait just
What's basil?
Oh, wait just a second. We talked about cilantro being in things like salsa and things like that, and basil sometimes we have like in spaghetti sauces and things like that. Different ingredients. It's another little plant, like a leaf that we use. We cut up and put in things.
I love cilantro.
Yeah, a lot of the things that we call spices are leaves that we put in from different plants to make our food taste delicious. Your job is going to be to choose a leaf that you want to add to your plant picture, to choose a stem that you want to make for your plant picture, and to choose a root that you want to make for your plant picture. And I made mine with a carrot that was a root, and I wrote the word root next to it. I chose celery to be the stems that I eat, and I wrote the word stem. And then I put lettuce up here, and I wrote the word leaf. And even on the leaf that I eat, I showed you what the roots look like. And even on the stem that I eat, I showed you what the roots look like. And on the root that I eat, I showed you what the leaves look like. Sam, I love your hand. What did you want to know?
A science project is also a lesson in cutting, gluing, and spatial relationships. As well as laying the groundwork for learning how to draw upon research, finding and evaluating information.
First of all, can you help me to sing the Days of the Week song? See if you can move those hands with the actions. Here we go. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There are 7 days in a week. There are 7 days in a week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now we need this one.
What is that?
What day is today?
Today is Tuesday.
What day was yesterday?
Yesterday was Monday.
What day will tomorrow be?
Tomorrow will be Wednesday.
What number comes after the number 8? After 8 comes 9. We need some 9 helpers. I need to give a compliment. I see some friends that are showing all those 5 things that show they're a great listener and have good character. Camden, can you find your space? You look like you're in Asher's space. Where is your space at? Is it right there? Okay. We need some helpers. Our first helper, we need to change this number to our 9, and we need the tens frame of 9. And it's our friend Samuel. Samuel, can you change this to a 9 and make the tens frame say 9? While Samuel's coming up to help, we're going to ask for a fast number helper. Maddie, will you come be our fast number helper? Peyton, what do you need? No, not right in the middle of our lesson. Okay, Maddie, rub those hands together.
Show me antlers of 5.
Fast 5. Did you say antlers of 5? Okay, antlers of 5. Let's see all of them you can make. I see a 5 and a 0. I see a 4 and a 1. I see it. Look, it switched the other way. Oh, a 1 and a 4 that way. What else do I see? Oh, wait a second. We've got another one. 3 and a 2. Oh, and you have it the other way around, don't you? Just like that. Wonderful. Give us another one.
Show me antlers of 10.
Antlers of 10. With our fingers, that's all that we can do, isn't it? Okay. We have all 10 up there, don't we?
Show me antlers of 2.
Antlers of 2. Okay. A 1 and a 1. Oh, friends are telling me it's just, you can only do a 1 and a 1 or 2 and a 0 or a 0 and a 2. Thank you, Maddie. Sam's ready to show us. I'm going to look for a couple friends on their bottoms, please. Okay. Sam, will you look to see if your audience... Just 1 second, Sam. This is just a microphone that's hooked to me so that the camera can hear my voice when I'm talking sometimes. Okay? All right. Sam.
9 is equal to 9.
Yeah, that 9 on that tens frame. Can you show me 9 fingers? That's what he's showing you. That 9 is equal to the number 9. Can you draw the number 9? Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. And let's see. She's a helper today, so. Coulter, can you come up and change this from 142 to 143?
Discussing the calendar is also a lesson in hundreds, tens, and ones.
That ready for us? Can you show me all the ways to make 5? Camden, would you slide up next to Aiden for me? I want you a little closer since there's a big spot. Here we go. 5 and 0 make 5.
4 and 1 make 5. 3 and 2 make 5. 2
Oh, look at these. 2 and 3.
make 5. 1 and 4 make 5. 0 and
5 make 5. Coulter's already ready for us. Did you get it ready, Coulter? Okay, he's going to count it. He's looking for your eyes. Okay, make a good choice, please. 1. They can't see though, friends. So can you step back so that they can see? Oh, thank you. And they said a little bit louder. 100. 110. 120. 130. 140. 141. 142. 143. Well, a big part of kindergarten is that we are academic, but we're very playful. And so the more things we can kind of weave together and connect for the children and to really show meaning for what they're learning, the better we find they learn. So we are constantly looking for ways to hook our science with our reading, with our writing topics, with their real life things that are going on with the students, and just make it really a meaningful day for them. So we find that they learn so much more and so much deeper when we do that.
Students learn about voice.
Is that a hot dog? Not a hot dog, my hot dog. I know how the character's feeling. Hannah, what do you think? How is he feeling? Not a hot dog, my hot dog.
Because he just wants it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do what, Asher? He doesn't want to share, absolutely. Let's see what happens.
And then immediately put that knowledge to personal, meaningful use.
I'll bring you your paper. You may choose a writing spot from there, but this is your first job. I'm looking for that voice today. Looking to see voice in your writing.
The day is clearly mapped out for students to know what to expect. A focus on movement and activity keeps students' attention focused.
Our first focus is that we want to keep in mind that they are 5- and 6-year-olds, and we always want to be looking at everything we do through that lens. And so we build a very playful day, a day where we change gears a lot, moving from one thing to another, a day that has active things in place. For example, our movement things that we do, we might be moving around to a song that counts to 100. We might be dancing to letters and letter sounds, something that is going to help them continue learning, but allow them to be a 5- and 6-year-old and move their body. We plan a lot of games and activities that build their excitement and feed upon the excitement that a 5- and 6-year-old already has and takes that natural curiosity and just runs with it. So we build our day around that. We do a lot of different activities during the day. I don't even think I could list how many different things we do because we move from one thing to another because the 5- and 6-year-olds want to move from one thing to another. And we just kind of balance out the things that need sitting power, like reading and writing, with the things that can be more active, like math games and moving around with movement.
Music, art, physical education, recess, and classroom movement time draw upon students' natural tendency to move and use it to learn or focus.
Kindergarten teachers are trained in a program that's called Tucker signing, and it's an action that goes with sounds that letters make. It isn't like sign language, it's different. It's to match up with what sound each letter makes, and that way we can use those signs to help kids notice with our hand gestures what our voice is doing. And when we first start the year, we introduce them a few at a time, get the kids used to seeing them, and then you'll notice we use them a lot just to show things when they're writing, when they're reading. If they get stuck on something, I may do to help them know it's an R sound and help them bring that sound out of their brain. And the action is kind of a trigger for that, just kind of helps them to be able to pull that sound out and be able to recognize it. We do a lot of using visuals with kindergarten students, things that we can show them in pictures. Because that really helps them to identify new vocabulary and new concepts if they can see something that's like it. We do a lot of comparing things. How are these things the same? How are these things different? To help them make that connection of how things are related. We do a lot with, you'll notice with our hands, with our fingers, with our gestures, beside just the Tucker sign, we may, when we're teaching counting up or counting down, make an upward movement or a downward movement to help them kind of get that idea of how those numbers are going to go. So all those little tricks that we use just help as another memory device to kind of bring those ideas forward and make that learning a little bit easier.
By spring, this routine, these expectations are the norm. But the school year doesn't start that way.
I think the most important thing at the beginning of the year is they have to learn how to be a student, how to be in a classroom with other children. A lot of children have not ever been in this type of a setting where they've had one adult with a big group of children, and they have to learn how to take turns, how to let each other have a turn to talk, how to share the teacher's attention, how to follow simple directions. So that's kind of where we start. Once we can get that down about just how do you be a learner, how do you show that you're ready to learn, then we're able to move into how do you work with other people, how do you work on your own goals and kind of have your own plan in mind for what you need as a learner. And so we work our way into those things. But at first we have to start at what does a student need to do? And at the beginning of the year, we're down to how do you open a glue bottle, how do you show the teacher that you're ready to listen by making eye contact and doing those things that show you're a listener. So we really break it down so they really know what we're expecting of them, and that way each student can be really successful.
Students begin kindergarten coming from a huge variety of backgrounds.
We have children now coming in who've been using electronics, they have been a lot of places. The world is a smaller place, and they come in knowing lots of information. So we want to meet them right where they come in at and keep them growing. And so our expectation has changed in terms of readers. We have lots of kindergartners who leave kindergarten being very fluent readers. Writing, we're writing all sorts of experiences, and just the amount of being able to speak and explain your thinking has really changed a lot. That's been another way that I think kindergarten has changed and evolved over the years that I've taught. We are constantly finding out where our children are at, what the next goal is for them, and meeting that next need. Very hard to do when there's a whole classroom of kids, but we have it down to a fine art. We differentiate by having different book groups, so I can read with children at different levels, and each child is bringing home books that are appropriate for them. We also differentiate by having math groupings and writing groupings, so we can pull children to work on different things that they need.
Leading it all is a classroom teacher, collaborating with other teachers, tying art, music, and library lessons to the classroom, incorporating songs, and building a classroom that can support exploration for 9 of some of the most important months in a child's life. One of the keys to successful learning is tying lessons to real life, something teachers are doing throughout 13 grades, and it all starts right here.
We're always wanting to make that connection between whatever concept they're learning and their real life and their real personality. And so, of course, when we're kindergartners, we're going to write about things that are interesting to kindergarten. We're going to be doing science experiments that are things that are interesting to kindergartners, and things that touch our real lives. We may be planting seeds. We may be observing butterflies to see them go from the egg stage to the caterpillar stage to the butterfly stage. We're going to be seeing real things, and then we carry that over to writing about it. So for researching, we can be looking at a real life of a butterfly, and it has great meaning to us because it's our classroom pet for a while. And then how can we transfer that into those writing lessons that we need to be coming across with children? They are much more likely, when you're making that real connection, to have a real more direct drive to meet that goal and to really figure that out because they're motivated by that real butterfly, that real life thing.
There's no secret. It's all about relationships.
You know, I am totally a teacher because 5- and 6-year-olds are the most fabulous people in the world. I always call them my coworkers because they truly are like an adult's coworkers in this world. I get to know each personality, and the best thing about 5- and 6-year-olds is their enthusiasm for everything. Every child has got some excitement for some topic we're talking about, and it will just be a little spark, and everyone will catch on. So that love of learning is what brought me to kindergarten. And I personally loved my kindergarten teacher because she helped build that, and that was the type of person I wanted to be, someone that just really built up excitement for learning and a passion for learning, and really helped kids just really see how wonderful this world is and how much there is to learn. It's a simple thing to do. Pencil to your chin when you are through. Can you write your name and then put your pencil to your chin that you're ready to begin?
Songs are a great way to help students remember important concepts throughout the year, as well as a tool to refocus attention and transition from one activity to another. There's not a final exam to pass kindergarten, but students need to be prepared to move on to the numbered grades. And as each child has his or her own abilities and challenges, differentiation is the key.
In kindergarten, we're focused on the Common Core standards, and we have them all broken apart into different segments that we can teach each quarter of the year so that we can ensure that the kids are meeting all the goals by the end of the year. Kindergartners don't do any final test or written exam or anything. What we do as kindergarten teachers is we do a lot of observing. We ask the kids a lot of questions. We pull them to do individual work with us to show us what they know, and that way we can make sure each child is meeting those Common Core goals. They really range. There's a huge range of things we're learning about, from counting to shapes to solid figures to adding and subtracting and being able to problem solve in math. In reading, we're starting at letters and sounds, working our way up into being able to blend sounds and figure out different words, to being able to be really good readers of patterned books is really where we hope to get every kindergartner, and many kids go way beyond that into fluent reading. Our writing goals, we actually write research, we write opinions, we write narrative things about things we know about. We're very, very active in getting children from that very beginning stage of where I can use a few sounds to write into I can write sentences, I can use capital letters and end marks, and we just grow each child as far as they can grow in those areas.
The single most important factor in student success is the classroom teacher, but that is followed closely by involvement at home. So what can parents do to support and enrich their child's education when they're not at school?
We love having those conversations with parents to be able to work as a team is a huge part of kindergarten now, where we want parents to be expressing what they're seeing at home. We want them to be talking to their kids about what we're doing at school and be able to build that relationship that we're all part of the same team that's helping this kindergarten child learn. So that's a wonderful thing when parents know that we really welcome that and really want them as part of that team. Along with that, we love that support of carrying through things that we're doing during the day, like reading with the child a book that they might be bringing home, or having them write. We often give writing suggestions of things they can be writing to grandma or writing a grocery list, things like that. And we love their help with that as well. So I hope parents know that we just really want them involved. We really want them to be a part of their child's learning. They have been a fabulous teacher for all the years before we got them in kindergarten, and we know that their role as a teacher continues as well. So we want to work with them in that role.
Students are constantly growing as individual learners. During poor weather, recess is inside and the choices are endless. During normal weather, outside, there are even more. Students are encouraged to think and write about their own experiences and feelings. Snacks, lunch, and in many cases breakfast at school are important to keep growing bodies going and learning. And of course, technology is integral. Not only are students drawn by and engaged with devices like this, they are developing skills they will need to operate a variety of tech down the road to research and explore, develop papers and presentations, and to communicate effectively with communities of learners around the globe. In the coming years, with the district's one-to-one technology initiative, this kindergarten room will have even more technology.
I'm very excited about how much technology is finding its way all the way to the kindergarten classroom. We already have some iPods and some iPads in our classroom, and we're getting used to how to use those for reading and writing and math, because we really want to use them in a really useful way, in a meaningful way, and a way that meets our goals. As we look ahead, we're excited to be getting more of the iPads into our classroom, and I think it's a great opportunity as teachers to find new ways not only to use them to practice skills, but also to use them as a great communication tool so that students can maybe be sending things to their families, sending personal things that they're working on, updates through that technology. So I'm excited. I'm glad and very proud that we're going to be receiving even more training, because I think that's always key to helping teachers do their very best. But I'm really excited about that opportunity.
It's just another way that kindergarten is constantly changing, just as the students are. For a teacher, it's a balance of meeting standards and covering material in fun, meaningful ways, since learners are not. These are 5- and 6-year-olds.
The hexagon lesson is a great lesson that actually really meets up with one of our Common Core standards. One of the things we want kindergartners to do is to be able to see that larger shapes are made up of smaller shapes, and that we can put smaller shapes together to build bigger things. And so it is a great game for that, because the students can really start to see how those pieces fit together. What I like to do with my students to make sure that they really are successful with doing the math part of the activity is to do some practice together. Really give them an idea of walking through the activity or the game. What are the steps? What are the supplies they need? How do we kind of take turns and build the activity slowly? They're much more successful when we kind of give them that modeling, what we call it, so that they can see how to play the game. Then I want them to have that opportunity to have that conversation with another child. Kindergarten is just full of conversation and language building, and being able to build that vocabulary, being able to explain what you're thinking about and how things fit together. So you'll find that we're talking a lot in our classrooms, and they're noisy. And that game, the students were hopefully talking about the shapes that they were rolling. They were talking about how many pieces would go together to make another shape. You could just hear some of their excited comments. I only need one more trapezoid, and that tells me that they're really starting to see how those things fit together. So working on a language concept there of being able to speak, talk about your thinking, be able to use that vocabulary, as well as a math concept, as well as social skills of being able to work with a partner and take turns, and all those things that can be challenging for 5- and 6-year-olds.
Kindergarten, in many ways, is the first step in a perpetual motion machine in which each experience and lesson lays the groundwork for yet another and another. New physical education curriculum focuses on fine and gross motor skills, muscle strength and endurance, fitness and lifelong health. Things that will be built upon each year until graduation. In music, students learn rhythm and tone qualities, paving the way for eventually reading notes and playing instruments as part of a band or orchestra. Art class reaches beyond color, cutting, and gluing to teach symmetry and balance. And every minute are lessons on social skills, sharing, caring, waiting, using manners, doing your best, and never giving up.
When parents are considering if their child is ready for kindergarten, if they're one of those age groups that's birthdays that's kind of a borderline, we always ask that they give some real serious consideration to their child as a learner. A lot of parents will tell you what their child knows, and that's wonderful. But what we really want to know is what kind of effort they put into things. Kindergartners that are successful are ready to learn because they're ready to put effort into their work. They're ready to try. So I ask parents things like, what does your child do when there's something new to do or new to learn? Do they embrace that? Do they move away from that? That's kind of a clue that that child might not be ready to take that risk yet. What does your child do when they're frustrated? Do they work through it, or does that cause them to shut down? That's another great clue for whether they're showing some of that readiness for kindergarten. Another area that's great to think about is their social skills. And by that, I don't always mean how they get along with other kids. It's how do they work out problems with other children. So if they're playing a game and something's not going right, can they talk that out and work that out, or do they use physical force or something else? So those are great things to think about. Another consideration is just their, what we kind of call in kindergarten, sitting power. We start the year with not much sitting power, and we build up that stamina so that kids can work longer on things. And so can your child sit and work for a little while, listen to a story, do a puzzle? Do they have some of that stamina for being able to do a little bit of that work as well? Because we will be asking that of them. Our goal in kindergarten is always to have successful students that feel wonderful about school. So we want them to have a great start coming in, feeling good about things right away, and not having a lot of those conflicting feelings.
In 1988, a hugely popular and often quoted book by Roger Fulgham reflected on the importance of the lessons learned during this early stage in life. All I really need to know I learned in kindergarten. Watching a kindergarten in action today, it's easy to see the truth in that.
You got the pieces. Did you get your labels on there? And you've got roots and stems and leaves. It's ready to be at your spot, and you can do your book choice for a minute.